How do you see the online streaming services now benefiting the film industry, or specifically the short film industry?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because more and more people are obviously very time precious, and short films and short TV shows are actually kind of like on an uprise. And I to be honest, it's on my to-do list. So I do want to reach out to a few short film streaming services. I was kind of like, my idea was to maybe first get a few more awards or selections in festivals, and also kind of like reviews and press, and then start approaching streaming services with a bit more of a meat behind the project. Is like, we've had recognition in, with you guys, for example, with the interview. I'm so thankful, because I think these things really help to pitch your idea to streaming services, where you can show that your project has gained interest. And I think that these kind of outlets are so beneficial for small filmmakers like myself and millions of other people out there, because it encourages us to create something small and hopefully get it out there easier than it ever was. And it's nice because, back in the days, I think people would produce short films, and then beyond maybe the festival crowd, it's very hard to actually get them out there. You can put it up on YouTube, but even then, to be honest, just because a video is out there doesn't mean that people will discover it necessarily, because there's so much content in there. I know there are a few almost like TV channels on YouTube that just feature short films, which is also a great way to get discovered. But yeah, I feel like dedicated streaming platform would be kind of better. And then maybe after that, like a YouTube channel thing could be an interesting idea as well, to get the word out. But it's definitely so so beneficial for filmmakers.
We'll ask just a couple basic questions, just we could just ask about your own, I guess love of film. Just what would you say is one of your favorite films?
Oh man, I knew something like this would come.
Choose director or something if you want, something like that.
It's so funny. I mean, one of the films that really, I feel like the films that you watch in your younger years are the ones that kind of stick with you the most, don't you think? With me, I think one of those films is The Fifth Element by Luc Besson. I really love it, with Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich, and it's just such an interesting film. Obviously, just about love and the good and the evil, but that's definitely one of my favorites from back in the days, where I still kind of have really fond feelings about it.
Yeah, that movie was very different when it came out. It was pretty unique when it came out. I think that was one of its big appeals.
I look back at it, you're like, oh, these effects are terrible, but you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, CG films, you have to be... they're tricky, because some don't age well, depending on what kind of technology they're using. So a movie like The Fifth Element, there are some situations where it's a little CG heavy, but it's outdated now. So it looks
exactly.
It doesn't look as good as it did back in the the 80s or 90s. 90s it came out? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Do you have any advice for young filmmakers out there today?
Yeah, I think it's to just get out there and start making films, but I think that's what everyone would tell you anyway. I think for me personally, I always feel like there's gotta be a message that you wanna give with your story.
I definitely agree. I'd say that's what you're saying there. It's what makes a film stand the test of time, right? Something with a weak story, or those action movies. They're good when they come out sometimes, but rarely somebody wants to see it again. You know, it depends. If the story at least is good and interesting and the characters are interesting, then it's something that, you know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, people can still watch, right? That's why there's so many great movies from the past that people will always remember, because it has such an important message, or just a great story, or some exceptional acting. You know, a little mix of everything is important. So,
but yeah, when a certain part of the movie outweighs others, those movies tend to just kind of whittle down over time, and you forget about them.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's obviously, you know, you can be experimental when you're still like learning and stuff, but I feel like because filmmaking, and the other thing, you know, filmmaking is just, there are so many more parts to it. Lots of people think it's just sort of like getting the process started and then shooting, but then there is the post-production, then there's sort of like getting the word out there. And I think that lots of people who I've met who are also really talented filmmakers, they've sort of just like produced a film and then they move on to the next project straight away, which is fine. But I feel like you need to understand that the business of making films is as important as actually making the films. If you can't do it yourself, like, you know, look for someone who can help. But there's just so much where I can see people have put like a year of their time in something, and then it's done, and they're like, don't know what to do with it, and it's kind of like they don't really like almost like milk the results for long enough. They just kind of like, okay, dismiss, move on to the next one. But if it's a genuinely interesting film, I think that potentially deserves to be seen by more people, and it's kind of like in our responsibility as filmmaker to make sure that happens, because nobody else is going to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to take ownership of it yourself, right? You have to be able to want to push it further than just making it, because just having the content, you know, it's not always enough. It might be great, but if it doesn't get seen, nobody knows about it, then it'll just, you know, fade away and not be remembered. But to get it out there, you know, push it, you got to be able to push it, right? Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you Tatjana Anders for joining us and talking to us about your short film, this psychological thriller there, Your Reality. I'm James Larimer, and this is Stefano.
And you can check out Your Reality film on Instagram.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. It was a real pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for Skyping us all the way from London.
Yay.
Yeah.
And it's even sunny in London, you know. It's been raining the whole night, the whole week, and now it's like, yay. All right, bye.